Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the show, the British English podcast, the place for anyone and everyone who is wanting to understand British culture and British English. And today we are doubling down on the culture because I have found a lovely guest who is incredibly knowledgeable about cultural adaptations and the process that somebody goes through when they move to a new country or culture. I found this person when I was Googling about a previous podcast, informing you about cultural things, whatever it was. And this was a very good read. And then I thought, hang on, maybe I could get this person on the show. I reached out to her and hey presto, here we are. She's willing to sacrifice over an hour of her time with me for you to go through the 4-part process of cultural adaptation. And this lady is called Marta, and she is originally from Poland, but she's been spending some time in the UK. So yeah, I think we're ready to jump into the conversation with Marta from projectabroad.eu. Here we go. Hello, Marta. How are you doing today?
Hi there. I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, it's early morning for me and late in the evening for you because you're in the UK. You're in my home country, but I'm far away from you right now.
Yeah, very far away. Yeah, it's 9 p.m. here, so quite late for me.
Yeah. Where in the UK are you right now?
I am in London, North London to be more exact.
Ah, very nice. Okay. And how long have you been in North London?
So yeah, I've literally been in North London the whole time I've been here. It's going to be 6 years in July. Wait, the time flies. I can't even. So I came here for 3 years max. That's what I've been telling to everyone. So yeah, it's been 5.5 now.
Right. That's interesting because we came to Australia thinking 2 to 3 years max. I probably shouldn't tell my girlfriend that your plan was that as well.
Whoops.
I think she wants to go back soon.
Right. Yeah, I was quite convinced when I first came here. I was convinced that it's only for 2 years, but we liked it so much, and like there's so much to do, there's so many opportunities, and we just stayed. Never say
Amazing.
never, eh?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you've been in London long enough to get to grips with more than just the language, which I'm very impressed with, but also the cultural adaptations. And that's what we're here to talk about, to help you guys listening to better understand the process of how it is to come to a new country and explore the difficulties and the enjoyments of a new culture. So, Marta, can you tell us a little bit more about your job and your blog that you do as well?
Sure. So, well, I've been in various HR roles in my professional career and like corporate career, you may say. But then I have set up a blog a little while, maybe not just under a year after I moved to London. It was first supposed to be like an outlet for my emotions and my thoughts and reflections and stuff. And it turned into something more because I was already sort of interested in the topic of cultural adaptation, effective cross-cultural working. I was working before already in Poland in this international intercultural environment. And me going abroad was supposed to be that bridge to understand it a bit more.
This episode comes with a free worksheet over on the website, thebritishenglishpodcast.com. So grab that and you can listen along whilst using it.
So like if I do want to, learn more and make it intercultural, intercultural topics in my career in some way, shape or form, then I was like, well, I should probably live abroad as well to experience it firsthand. And so I did, purely for experience. No one forced me. I like to say that I'm an expat by choice, which is literally what I am. So I've known before that there is some form of process that people go through. And I knew from others that it can be difficult at times, but it didn't quite settle until I've actually been through the process. And so I just want to let people know and inspire them through my blog and through my work to know that there is such thing as cultural differences. As much as we like to think that, you know, the world is global and we can travel wherever, cultures are a thing and they do influence us. They're not the only thing that we are and that influences our experience, but it is a thing that we should consider. And so that's really what I'm about, just to tell people and educate them that cultural differences are a thing, and that really you can tame them as well. You can learn how to effectively work with others who are different from yourself and who are from different backgrounds than yourself, because it's possible. It's just a process that you need to go through.
Yeah. Okay. Was there a moment that you realised, oh God, this is very different being in the UK, like culturally speaking?
Very quickly, too quickly. So, well, the process, maybe I'll tell you just like about what the models say, and because there is research behind it, and I was like, well, this is great. I wish I'd known that before in more detail, because at least I would know what the heck is going on with me and, you know, in this whole process. Because what they describe as cultural adaptation curve is like a U-curve, if you imagine. So you first are in this honeymoon period where everything's great and you're enjoying the place and you're kind of like a tourist in this place, and everything's better than back home and you don't want to come back and everything's like great, right? Yes. And then the reality hits a bit. So then you go into a dip. That's where your U comes in.
For me, sorry to interrupt, when I went into my first German supermarket when I moved to Germany, that was the
what
reality.
happened in that supermarket?
I think the lady shortchanged us. And but just the whole process of going around, like obviously everything's in German, but everything's like in different places. The foods are very different, and you just can't rely on what you're used to at all. So everything was just like, oh my God, yeah, okay, we're in Germany now.
So it literally sometimes feels like you're back to being a child. You're like dependent on others telling you it's like you can't even do the simplest things like grocery shopping, right? And I had the same thing, because it's like different products, even the same brands that you know have different names sometimes. So even though you sort of recognize the logo and stuff, it is different. Like Walkers, for example, for the chips, no, crisps. What's it? Crisps. Chips is in Polish is chips as well. So
and American
crisps. Yeah. And okay. So crisps is what I mean, Walkers. That brand exists, but under a different name in Poland. And so there's hundreds of examples like this from the shop. So it was definitely one of those things for me as well. Another thing that put me into that shock was people asking, how are you? How are you? So I was like walking down the corridor at work, for example, and they're like, how are you? And I'm like, how are you? And then they're just gone. They don't even want to hear how I am. How rude. I was like, why do you even ask me how I am if you don't want to hear the answer? I was like, oh. And they say that British are polite, right? And in my head, it was like, how rude, you don't want to listen to my answer.
Nowadays, 6 years later, what do you say?
How are you? And that's it. And I walk away.
I'm trying to think, like, I would say morning or...
all that.
You all right? All right? How's it going? Yeah, maybe I'd say that as well.
But the response to how's it going, unless you actually are with someone and trying to strike up a conversation, like if you're just walking past someone and like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, how's it going? Hey, how are you?
Yes.
How are you? It's just kind of like you're in passing. It's a substitute for hello, really, is how I've deciphered it.
Yes,
after a while. But the beginnings were tough, because I was like, they don't really want to listen to me. Like, what am I doing wrong? You know, it's all those thoughts. Like, why do they not want to hear how I am if they're asking? Like, what's wrong? So yeah, things like that.
Good one. Very good. We're going to take a short break from the conversation to tell you about a recent update I made with all my language learning resources for you. So, let me explain. The podcast can be enjoyed as a premium podcast member or as an academy member. The premium podcast membership gives you access to parts 2 and 3 of all bonus episodes and season-based episodes. Along with that, you get an online interactive transcript reader, or PDFs if you prefer, extended glossaries explaining all of the more native expressions being used in each episode, and flashcards for you to revise the language on the go. The Academy gives you all of that, plus a 10-part interactive lesson for every season-based episode, which is released once a month. And these include exclusive videos, audios, quizzes, assignments, and many more things focusing on the best language of each episode. And it also gives you access to weekly speaking classes for free. So if you want to get access to the full episode of every broadcast, use all the amazing learning resources I've made for you to truly feel confident with the new expressions, and then put them into practice in our wonderful weekly speaking classes, then check out the Academy membership. Breaking it all down, this is a really affordable option that will keep any intermediate to advanced British English learner incredibly busy with the online resources in the Academy and now the weekly speaking classes. So head over to the website, thebritishenglishpodcast.com, to check out the premium podcast membership or the Academy membership and get yourself in a weekly speaking class and have a lot of fun. All right, let's get back to the episode. Wow, so you've got a 4-step process, and I interrupted your curve. So you start up here in the honeymoon period, then shit hits the fan, and you go down here.
So as you said, like it's there's some triggers that you can notice, right? That put you into that shock mode, and it doesn't have to. I mean, it's not quite as linear, right? For me, it was like, it's amazing, I want to go home, like, you know, I want to cry, and then it's like, yeah, it's actually not that bad. It's really pretty much like that, rather than a U-curve.
That would be an exhausting day for your faith.
There were those days. Like, I mean, if there's anyone who's listening who is just going through this right now, that is normal. That's part of the thing that I say to people. Like, you can have days when you're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, I saw, you know, the Parliament and the London Eye, and I had a wonderful walk around the Thames and the city and whatnot. And then I come back home and I cry because my partner is away, because when we moved, we were apart for a bit before he joined me. And so, yeah, like, I miss my family, all that kind of stuff. So there were those days where you kind of go up and down a little bit emotionally. And I think that was actually the hardest part for me as well. The emotions and like taming them because there's just so much going on in my head and in general. But yeah, so yeah, there's the shock. But then the good news is you can go out of the shock, and it's a process. So just bear in mind, if you're in that moment right now, it's just a phase and it will pass. And there are ways that you can make it feel a little bit better. But it's great that this is happening, because that means that you're growing and you're being challenged to see things in new perspectives, and you're challenged to get some more self-awareness about your own values and your own cultural backgrounds. So I see this as an opportunity, right? Even though it is not the easiest things to go through. But you can go out of that and you can go into the adjustment phase where you start adjusting your behavior. You kind of understand that things are different, and that's, you know, you might want to adjust and adapt your behavior to certain situations, but you also know what is true to yourself and what you want to keep from your own cultural background. So you're no longer in that phase where it's either or, right? It's kind of negotiating of like, how much can I adapt? How much should I? How much do I want to? And then you're moving to the adaptation stage where you kind of feel okay in both the cultures, like your home culture and the new place, and you can effectively communicate in both locations. So my background is corporate, so I'm talking more about, you know, working environments and sort of an organization, but it applies to everyone really. And yeah.
And how long did it take for you to reach phase 4? Are you in phase 4 now?
I think I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird because when I was coming back home to London this December, I literally said that like, oh yeah, I need to go back home, and so this kind of feels like another home right now, and I no longer say I'm going back home when I go to Poland. I'm saying I'm going to see my family. So it feels like I'm more here now than there, which gives me an impression that I'm probably in that phase already by that point. But there's no timeline for this.
Okay.
The fact that I'm already in here, that doesn't mean that everyone will be, and it really depends. Knowing the language really helped, right? If I was to suddenly go to Germany now where I don't speak the language, it probably would have been a slightly different process. And it's different for everyone. So there's no timeline for any of these phases. It can take as long as it takes for anyone. And you can go back and forth on this as well. There was a point where I thought, okay, I'm adjusting now. Yeah, I'm feeling all right. And it's all getting better. And then something hits me again, a new shop or whatever. I don't know how to, call up HMRC like for taxes and stuff. So it's just, whenever you think that you're okay, something else pops up and it's all right. And you continue learning, right?
Yeah, well, it's exciting that you still have moments of that, because otherwise you'd be like, oh, okay, I've acclimatized fully. Now what?
I don't think that would ever happen, though. I mean, there's still so many things like cultural references to, I don't know, some pop star or TV showman or someone presenter who was there in the 60s and is famous because he's famous, and I'm like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
And so it will all like happen, right?
About that, do you try to catch up, or do you just say, in a conversation like, I don't have a clue? Or how do you deal with that?
I do say I don't have a clue. You can probably see from my face. See, that's one other thing. At the beginning, and so that would probably be the shock phase where I didn't feel secure enough with myself as well, I suppose, and with what I'm going through, that I didn't want to, I didn't want others to know that I don't know something. So I was trying to like fit in and blend in rather than adapt and adjust to this new environment while still sort of keeping parts of myself. And so I wouldn't admit sometimes in a conversation, like everyone would be laughing and I'd be like, hi, yeah, good morning, I have no idea what's going on. And that was not the right thing to do, completely not the right thing to do. So now I am saying that I don't know something, people usually catch me up because they also then start realizing, oh, okay, great. Well, if I want to tell the story, I need to make sure that people understand. And I guess my environment is the one where we are in an international company, right? And we have many people from different walks of life. So I guess it's easier in a way to be that open. So I know it might not be the same for everyone who moves here, but I think it is a good strategy. It's better that people don't know, especially if it's with something as meaningless in a way, right? As a TV presenter. So it's not like you're an imposter and at work because you don't know something about the work that you do. It's honestly, it's just about something like a social situation, right? So I think it's absolutely fine to say that you don't know.
I was thinking of trying to reference Cilla Black. Do you remember her? Or not remember her, sorry. Do you know of her name?
I don't know of her name. Who is that?
But then you said about, a TV presenter. Yeah, it's so silly that it's a good place to be in, to be able to be like, I don't know. I've been here for a while, but of course I don't know that. That's a cultural reference that was back in the 90s. It was she was a Saturday night TV host for the show, a Blind Date.
Right.
Yeah.
We did have a blind date show in Poland as well. See, a lot of the Polish shows, it's funny because sometimes people reference the names of the TV shows or like games and stuff, like Millionaire or whatever. And sometimes I wouldn't know what they're talking about until they showed me. So like Family
Fortunes?
Fortunes? Yeah, there you go. So that exists in Poland, but I had no idea about that show. Like it wasn't the same name. in Poland, right? But the idea of the game was the same. So once I got explained as to what it is, or like shown the game or whatever on YouTube, then I was like, oh yeah, I know this one. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And so actually the remote working is a good example of that, because we had a lot of like socializing through Zoom and like different quizzes and stuff like that. And so they were obviously trying out different games, also the ones from TV.
Very good. So let's dive a bit deeper with the first part. Can you remind us, the first part is the honeymoon stage.
Exactly.
And this is all hunky-dory, this is all good stuff. Is there any like action points that people need to take home and think about, or is this the one and only phase really that you can just enjoy?
Well, definitely do enjoy. But look, what I would say is that people often ask me, how can I stay in this honeymoon as long as I possibly can, right? How can I make it the best? And it's a good question, because you can very quickly go down that shock route, and which basically means go down the reality route. Like reality hits you, right? Because you need to set up a bank account, and you need to pay your taxes, and you need to find a flat.
What was it? I think it was getting a seasonal train ticket in Nuremberg, Germany. I remember Stacey cried. I left her in the queue. I went to go to the shop and came back, and she was in tears. I was like, why? She's like, it's different here.
It's different. And there's so many options that you don't understand how it works. It's really hard. And again, it's the simple stuff. It's the grocery store. It's buying a ticket, you know?
Yeah.
But what you can do before you move, really, is research. So you can make it as easy and smooth for you as possible, so that it doesn't throw you off when you're already there. Obviously, you can't prepare for everything, but at least it'll be one less thing to surprise you, because you'll know which ticket you want, and you go up to the counter and you'll say it, or you'll prepare the sentence in the foreign language or whatever to say it. So that can help you just to make it slightly easier on you. But one other thing that you can do really as well before you move is schedule this honeymooning in before everything kicks in. So I made the mistake of not doing that. So I basically got on a flight, found a flat, moved in with my friends because the flat wasn't ready yet. So I lived with them for 2 weeks before I could move in, and went straight back to work. And I didn't have that week or 2 weeks just to wander around and see all the grocery stores and pick up the one that I like most or whatnot. I had to do this alongside all the work struggles and differences I had to manage, and basically just new job as well, which is anyway a transition, even within your own country or city. So doing those two things at once was a bit too much. So if you do have this luxury of scheduling in 1-2 weeks just for yourself to unpack, to settle in, that would be brilliant. That will allow you to have that honeymooning without any other pressures from the outside. Yeah,
just like a real honeymoon. Take some time off.
Exactly. Yeah, make it literal. Exactly.
Very good.
But then also you can journal what you are enjoying in that phase, because that will be helpful when you move on to the shock and everything. So here everything is great, everything is wonderful, better than back home. You're noticing all the things that are better, without necessarily noticing those that are not, or that maybe you may be struggling with a little bit. It's kind of like you're a tourist. Yeah, like you're seeing all the right things in the place where you're
on
at.
Holiday, basically.
Yeah, honeymooning.
Honeymooning. Yeah, that's a very good point about journaling. I wish I did that when I moved to each country at the beginning. I think I might have done it with Chile, but it would be nice now to look back at all of those fond memories, because it's that first moment that you just notice that everything is different, and then you start to acclimatize to things. But in that first stage, great. So get journaling, and it's good practice for your English, isn't it? And talking of which,
go, yes.
So I will do the thing for you to make you feel comfortable with this. I would put your Englishes up here. Where would you say that your English was when you came to England or the UK?
Now from perspective, I'd say it was it was already good. Slightly
It was
lower,
already
though,
good?
for sure. It was already fluent, but I did struggle. So how I would frame it is, so I started learning English quite late, I think. So I was in 4th grade. So I was 10 years old when I started learning English.
Okay.
Now kids at school have even from kindergarten, they learn English, but I think it's compulsory now, or mandatory, or whatever. I'm being very
Either one.
self-conscious. I think from grade 1 right now. So I started learning from when I was 10 years old. And then I went to do an international baccalaureate, which is basically a program in high school that you do, and it's all in English. So that helped me a lot. I did not have an accent at all back then, but I did have a lot of good vocabulary practice. So I would say already I was like a C1 level from understanding. So I could read in English, I could watch movies in English and everything. So I would say overall it was pretty good. However, it was a bit of a problem for me because if I expected anything to go wrong, it was not the English language.
So we're going to leave the episode here for now. We do go on to the extra parts of the process. So if you are enjoying the information that Marta is giving you and the conversation that we are having, then I highly recommend that you head over to the website, thebritishenglishpodcast.com, to enjoy parts 2 and 3 of this episode. Thank you very much, Marta, for being on this part. Maybe we can invite listeners to go over to your blog. So that is projectabroad.eu. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
You can probably get in touch with me the easiest through Instagram at the moment. That's where I'm mostly active these days.
Okay. And what's your Instagram name or username or handle, whatever we like to say?
Handle? Is that a word?
I think it used to come from truckers using radio. What's your handle, kind of?
Oh, really? Okay, no, I didn't know that. Yeah, so it's at Project Abroad Blog.
Project Abroad Blog. Yeah.
Exactly. All written together, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's your Instagram. That's where, I added you a week ago and you're very active on there. Yeah, really informative content. So, yeah, highly recommend that.
It's more interactive. More interactive than the blog, so.
That's true, yeah. So that is the end of part 1 for this episode, which was a bonus episode, number 5. That's making me think of Mambo number 5. You know, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 5. What am I doing? Anyway, make sure you grab the free worksheet that gives you some of the intermediate to advanced expressions in this Mambo number 5. That is bonus episode number 5. And I'll see Premium and Academy members in part 2 and 3. And for the rest of you lovely listeners, I will see you next week on the British English Podcast. Oh, my name's Charlie Baxter. Bye.